Hello, everybody. This is Sandy Parker with Lighten Up Global, and I am here with a friend of mine, Dorothy, who, gosh, how long have I known you?
Gosh, maybe
4 or 5 years?
I think it's more.
Oh my gosh, is it? So Dorothy is one of my idols. She doesn't know this, but the reason is because I believe that the most important thing we do is follow our heart and do what brings us joy and brings us whatever touches our soul. And I guess when I met Dorothy, you were living on a family farm. Tell me about that, where you lived, because that's a big part of the story.
Okay. Well, we lived in Elgin on a farm that had about 95 acres and a old farmhouse built in 1881. And my parents are deceased, so it was really a difficult job for my husband to keep everything going, operating the way it should in the maintenance and all. So we lived there for about 15 years, and
And I met you about then, right?
Yeah,
You were living
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So I was having coffee with Dorothy one time because we got together on a regular basis. And I said, "So, what do you really want? Like, what lights you up?" Do you remember?
Yeah. And I said, "Oh, I'd love to live in downtown New York."
I'm like, that blew my mind. Downtown New York. I'm like, you don't look like an urbanite.
Well, we lived in a downtown condominium when we lived in Knoxville, Tennessee, and loved it because I could walk to work. I could just go to a lot of things that I was interested in going. So even though New York City would be ideal, I have found that Austin, Texas, is just a delightful place to live.
And I just want you to see the lights on her face, even as she's talking about it, because I'm sitting in this coffee place and she goes, downtown, right downtown where I could take the bus. I'm like, that's so crazy. So one of the things that I'm sure you run into, as does everyone that tries to put change in place, it doesn't go smoothly with everyone.
Right. Especially my husband. He made the comment, well, this is a hard place to keep up. Our family farm is a hard place to keep up, and it's costing a lot of money. And he said, and he was saying this jokingly, he said, the next place we move to, I want a concrete yard. And the light went on. And I said, okay. So I got with our realtor, and we found a place in downtown Austin, and it is everything I expected it to be. It's not as crazy, probably, as living in New York City, but it's
Crazy enough, yeah.
It is crazy enough. There's something going on constantly.
Well, and so when I saw the lights on your face, I was like, oh my gosh, you can really tell what someone wants by their face. And a lot of times people will be talking and they'll say, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want this. But you go, trip over something like that, and they go, but that. And immediately I was like, oh my gosh, she's an urbanite. But it didn't come without, what would you say, times of support.
Well, exactly. Now, my husband was floored. He was not used to, he doesn't like crowds, so that's a problem. But he's making progress. But my support actually came from you, Sandy. Just knowing that you listened and you could see what excited me, and you were, very nurturing in that respect. So I really appreciate that.
You're so welcome. Well, it's so fun to watch because the stages were step by step. I mean, first you had to get the house ready. That was a good opportunity to forget it.
Right.
'Cause that was hard. And then the next step was trying to figure out where, and then the emotional attachments. You have to work through, the going on to the next place. How
Yeah.
was that?
I think the downsizing was very difficult. Now that I look back on it, it was even more difficult than when I was going through it, or my husband and I both were going through it, because we had a couple of generations of family stuff.
And you mean stuff.
And I mean stuff. We had two huge estate sales, so we downsized, and I tell you that is just like a burden lifted off of our shoulders, because now somebody is either using all that stuff or it's sitting in their closets.
And you feel lighter.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I can see it. I mean, when I see you're like breezy, and she goes, "I'll take the bus." I'm like, my Dorothy is taking the bus. So in that process of change, how important would you say support is if someone's trying to put a big change in place?
Yeah, I think having support is crucial. And the reason is because you're going to have other negative responses to that. And one big one was my husband. And he, he has thanked me since.
He has?
Yes,
Aww.
for sticking to my guns, so to speak. So, like I said, he's not there completely yet like I am. He's not as mobile as I am. But he doesn't have to do a yard. He doesn't have to worry about safety for our house being broken into. We just live in a wonderful, wonderful place with lots of amenities.
Well, thank you so much. And the reason we are here is because we want to encourage everybody to live their lightest, brightest life. And when you do, it feels so good, and life is short. I think every day is so valuable. This is Sandy with lightenupglobal.com. Visit our website and visit our self-assessment so you might see where you'd like to lighten up.